closing, the prosecution would like to say that under the Bloomberg administration, the homeless population has increased by at least 50,000. All right? His housing programs have decreased. The money is going down the toilet. $750 million. All right? While the jury deliberates, let me just say in closing, oh, man.
I have a dream.
Take your time.
Take your time. No, I wanted to say something, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But in closing, you know, the prosecution would like to say, you know, you've heard all of these testimonies, you know, and you know there are a lot of children that's being affected by this, and we really need to have our hearts and concerns and prayers out for them as well. You know what I'm saying? Because being homeless is not really funny. You know what I'm saying? It's a serious issue. It could happen to anybody at any time. You know, so you know, in closing, you know, I would like to say, Mr. Bloomberg, you have any last statements?
Yes, the majority of New Yorkers report having a housing crisis. Well, that has nothing to do with me. My affordable housing programs are helping plenty of hardworking people. But if you're too poor to qualify, that isn't my problem. Go get a real job. My housing marketplace program is working hard to make sure that all vacant buildings that could be used to develop housing for the poor be sold off to people making $100,000 a year or more. Sure, there are problems with the welfare system. I'm trying to talk here. Sure, there are problems with the welfare system and the homeless system, but hey, nobody's perfect.
My jury, the people's jury, is deliberating right now, but I want y'all to know, if the shoe fits, you must convict Mayor Bloomberg.
It's guilty.
Oh, the verdict is in. The verdict is in. The verdict is in. How do you find, oh man.
For the charge of endangering the welfare of a child, 14,000 counts and counting, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On the charge of non-payment of rent for HSP, Advantage tenants, putting them at risk of eviction, 10,000 counts, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On the crime of criminally negligent, arrogance, and his refusal to acknowledge his plan's failure and develop an emergency plan to fix it, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On the charge of defrauding taxpayers by funding a $750 million a year shelter system instead of providing real housing to homeless, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On the count of putting 10,000 households at risk of eviction through the flawed HSP program, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On the charge of backing out of a promise to meet with Picture the Homeless, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On account by proxy for the criminally negligent failure of city agencies to work together efficiently, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On the crime of agency embezzlement, failure to provide marketable job skills to homeless people with the massive amounts of money spent on job readiness programs, we the jury find the defendant guilty. Of libel by falsely representing his homeless plan as effective, we the jury find the defendant guilty. On account of disorderly conduct and the general mishandling of the people's business, we the jury find the defendant guilty. All right.
The judges The judges will render their decision now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Must give me his money. Having been found guilty by the people of the streets of New York, Michael R. Bloomberg, Mayor of the City of New York, has been found guilty and is hereby sentenced for crimes against the homeless and for wasting hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The Homeless People's Court passes the following sentence on Michael R. Bloomberg: that he should spend 1 year in a city-funded shelter. We also declare that he should be forced to sleep in a bathtub. The accommodations that HSP and DHS says are adequate for families of the City of New York. We also declare that he should be forced to implement the housing, not warehousing legislation, which will stop landlords from keeping buildings empty and turn those properties into housing for the people of the streets and the people of the City of New York.
Mayor Bloomberg should also stop NYPD from arresting homeless people as a way to push them out of public space and give them appearance that homelessness is under control when you know it ain't. Prioritize housing, not shelter, for the homeless people.
Housing, not shelter. Housing, not shelter. Housing, not shelter. Housing, not shelter. Housing, not shelter.
Housing,
Not shelter.
bailiff.
The last part of the sentence, and all these sentences are not sufficient for what this man has done to the city and to the homeless people. Go back to the drawing board, Mayor Bloomberg, and meet with the pitch of the homeless to fix your 5-year failed plan and based on the demands of the homeless people themselves, not on your demands.
Bailiff, remand the defendant, please.
We shall be adjourning for lunch, which will be served at 51st and Franklin Park, where lunch will be served. Shortly thereafter, we shall be convening and marching to the home of Mayor Michael R. Bloomberg to deliver our sentence.